the greatest wildlife spectacle on Earth. Every year, one of nature's most extraordinary events unfolds on the plains of Africa. Today on The Strong, we follow the wildebeest as they embark on an epic journey through the Serengeti. The migration begins. In the vast and ancient lands of Tanzania's Serengeti, change stirs on the wind. The grass is brittle now, sun-scorched and dry. Dust swirls in the midday heat, catching the light like drifting smoke. Trees stand still as statues beneath the weight of the season. Waterholes shrink into muddy memories of what once was, and the sky holds no promise of rain. But beneath this parched and unforgiving world, a quiet miracle is unfolding. Across the plains, wildebeest calves are being born. Hundreds of them, every single day. Each one arrives into a world of uncertainty, taking its first breath under the watchful eyes of circling vultures and prowling jackals. But the mothers are relentless. They lick the newborns clean, nudge them up on trembling legs, and stand guard as those wobbly first steps turn into a gallop. In the Serengeti, survival begins within moments of birth. This is the beginning of an ancient ritual, older than memory, older than maps. The Great Migration. Over 1 million wildebeest, flanked by nearly 500,000 zebras and countless antelope, begin their journey northward. It is one of the largest and most spectacular movements of wildlife on Earth. A living, breathing tide of hooves and horns that reshapes the land as it flows. They march not out of choice, but out of necessity. Driven by instinct and the eternal search for green grass and life-giving water, they move as one, unified not by leaders, but by the deep pulse of survival. As the herd begins to travel, predators follow. Lions slink through the tall grasses, eyes fixed on the weak and the young. Hyenas laugh in the night, trailing the migration like shadows. But the greatest threat lies far ahead, the Mara River. To reach the fertile lands of Kenya's Masai Mara, the herds must face one of nature's most dangerous gauntlets. The Mara is no gentle stream. It is a churning, fast-flowing river with banks steep and slick, currents strong enough to sweep away the largest of beasts. But it is what waits beneath the surface that truly inspires dread. Nile crocodiles. Ancient, immense, patient. Some of these cold-blooded predators have lived over 70 years, their armored bodies scarred by decades of ambushes and battles. Their jaws are among the strongest in the animal kingdom. Once shut, they do not open again. A single wildebeest can sustain a large croc for months. And they wait, motionless, hidden, watching. They know the time is near. For them, this season is everything. This is the feast they've been waiting for all year, the moment the migration meets the river. But the wildebeest do not move on schedule. They do not follow a map. Guided only by instinct and the scent of distant rains, they roam in winding, unpredictable waves. One day, the herd grazes peacefully near the riverbank. The next, they turn and wander away, leaving the crocodiles to wait another day, or week, or month. And still, the tension builds. Across the plains, dust clouds rise like smoke signals. The earth trembles under the weight of 1,000 hooves. Life moves, slowly but surely, toward danger. The migration has begun, and the river is waiting. Serengeti, a timeless ecosystem. Beneath the endless skies of East Africa, where the horizon stretches into forever and the golden grasses whisper in the wind, lies a land like no other, a place both ancient and alive. This is the Serengeti. It spans across two nations, Tanzania and Kenya, yet belongs to none. Its boundaries are not drawn by man, but by the forces of nature, by rivers that carve through the plains, by volcanic highlands that rise like sleeping giants, by rainfall and drought, by life and death. Covering nearly 30,000 square kilometers, the Serengeti is roughly the size of Belgium. But in its heart, it is immeasurable. This is one of the oldest, most enduring ecosystems on Earth. For over 1 million years, the same cycles have played out across these plains: birth and predation, drought and flood, abundance and hunger. And through it all, life has adapted, evolved, and endured. Here, time doesn't flow in hours or days. It pulses in seasons, in migrations, in the slow footsteps of elephants, and the sudden strike of lions. Every creature, from the lowliest insect to the apex predator, is part of a delicate and ancient balance. The termites, though unseen, are engineers of the soil, breaking down dead vegetation and nourishing the earth. Dung beetles roll the refuse of giants into treasure. Vultures cleanse the aftermath of hunts. Even the acacia tree, thorned and defensive, has struck silent partnerships with ants, offering shelter in exchange for protection from grazing mouths. Everything has a purpose. Everything plays its part. But among all the spectacles of the Serengeti, one event rises above all others, a phenomenon so vast, so relentless, that it can be seen from space. The Great Migration. It is not just a movement of animals, it is a living tide, a heartbeat of the earth made visible. Each year, as the dry season tightens its grip on the land and rivers dwindle into dusty memory, the great herds begin to stir. The sky offers the first signal. In October, thunderheads gather far in the south, over the plains of Ndutu and Ngorongoro. The first rains fall, soaking the thirsty soil, and within days, green shoots begin to rise. Somewhere in the northern Serengeti, a single wildebeest senses the change. No one knows how. Perhaps it's the scent of petrichor on the wind, or a magnetic memory carried in its blood. It takes the first step, then another, and then millions follow. Over 1.5 million wildebeest, accompanied by more than 400,000 zebras and 500,000 gazelles, begin their journey. They travel not in straight lines, but in shifting waves, driven by instinct, weather, and the eternal search for life-giving pasture. From the north to the south, across the vast central plains, down into volcanic basins, and out again, they move. Calves barely weeks old run beside their mothers. Bulls clash horns to establish dominance. The ground shakes beneath their hooves. Dust clouds rise into the sky like signals to the waiting predators, and predators are never far. For the lions, the migration is an opportunity. For cheetahs, it's a season of abundance. For hyenas, it is a feast of both cunning and chaos. Even the scavengers, vultures and marabou storks, skuas, circle above in anticipation. Every movement of the herds shifts the balance of power. The migration is not just a test of endurance, it is a rolling battleground. But even this ancient journey is not random. It is governed by rain, by the pulse of the sky itself. And rain is shaped by climate, which is now shifting. As global temperatures rise and rainfall patterns grow less predictable, the rhythm of the Serengeti trembles. The migration still moves, but its timing becomes uncertain. Its route changes subtly. Its balance, once stable, begins to teeter. And so, the Serengeti stands at a crossroads. Timeless, yet not untouched. For now, it endures. The wildebeest still gather. The predators still hunt. The rains still fall. but every season may be different from the last. Still, in this moment, right now, the migration has begun again. And with it, the great wheel of life turns once more in the heart of Africa's last wild kingdom. Mass birth, a strategy for survival. By February, the southern Serengeti undergoes a quiet transformation. The rains have returned, and the plains, once cracked and thirsty, now shimmer with new life. The grasses grow tall and lush, painting the savannah in vibrant greens that stretch to the horizon. And with this renewal comes a miracle. Within just a few short weeks, over 500,000 wildebeest calves are born. An explosion of life so yeet and so synchronized, it defies imagination. This is not coincidence. It is strategy. Evolution honed over countless millennia. This mass birthing, known as synchronous calving, is nature's answer to predation. A form of protection, not through force, but through numbers. Predators, no matter how skilled, cannot possibly catch them all. Lions, hyenas, cheetahs, jackals. They gather quickly, drawn by instinct and opportunity. But for every calf that falls, dozens more survive. It's a race against time. Each birth takes only moments. The mother lies down briefly, vulnerable, and within minutes, a slick, trembling calf emerges into the world. But there is no time for tenderness. Within just 5 minutes, the calf must stand. Within 15, it must walk. And within the hour, it must run. Because out here, hesitation means death. The bond between mother and calf is forged almost instantly. Through scent, sight, and sound, the mother memorizes her newborn. She gently nuzzles and lowly bellows, urging it to stand on legs too thin to support the weight of life. The calf wobbles, falls, tries again, and again, until finally, it rises. Across the plains, it's a scene repeated thousands of times each day. Newborns taking their first steps against a backdrop of predators waiting for their first chance. One morning, a calf stumbles into the world, just meters away from a lurking jackal. The air is heavy with tension. The calf falters. The jackal creeps forward. But then, out of the dust, the mother charges, head lowered, hooves pounding. The jackal flees, outmatched, beached, and outnumbered. This time, the calf lives. But not all will be so lucky. Over the course of the calving season, thousands of young wildebeest will fall prey. Yet the strategy works. Despite the losses, the overwhelming majority survive. Within a week, the calves are nearly indistinguishable from the adults, running with the herd, learning to navigate the dangers of the plains, growing stronger with each passing day. This is the cost of life in the Serengeti. A fragile beginning in a land that offers no mercy, but extraordinary beauty. For the wildebeest, every birth is a gamble, and every first step is a declaration: I will survive. Early challenges, first steps, and first risks. In the Great Serengeti, where life surges in powerful waves, it is the smallest hearts that face the greatest risks. A wildebeest calf enters the world not into safety or silence, but into a storm of movement. Around it, thousands of hooves are already in motion. The herd does not stop. There is no pause for celebration, no protection from chaos. From the very first breath, survival is a race. The first 24 hours are critical, a narrow window. In that brief time, a newborn must stand, learn to walk, recognize its mother, and follow her through dust, confusion, and danger. And still, the world shows no mercy. The Serengeti does not offer sanctuary. It offers a test. The calf must identify its mother quickly, imprinting on her scent, the shape of her body, the sound of her call. These are not learned behaviors. They are ancient instincts, encoded in the blood through generations of survival. But instinct alone is not always enough. All around, the rhythm of birth echoes across the plains. New lives appear by the hundreds each hour. Mothers low softly to their calves, urging them to stand. Calves stumble, fall, rise again. Some are up within 5 minutes. Others take longer, and for some, that delay proves fatal. For predators, this is a season of opportunity. Hyenas patrol the edges of the herds. Jackals weave like shadows through the grass. Cheetahs lie in wait, scanning for the weakest, the slowest, the lost. Lions are never far behind. But the most tragic losses don't always come by fang or claw. Sometimes, it is the confusion itself that becomes the killer. In the growing heat of mid-morning, a calf wanders alone along a dry, dusty track. Its bleats are high-pitched, panicked. Its small legs tremble, not from exhaustion, but from uncertainty. It pauses beside a clump of brush, sniffing the air, circling aimlessly. To the calf, towering shapes, movement, even unfamiliar shadows, any of them might be its mother. It bleats again, this time softer. There's no aggression, no fear, just confusion, just need. It folds its legs and collapses in the shade, as if waiting for comfort, for milk, for home. It is a moment that breaks the illusion that nature is indifferent, because here, even the wild seems to hold its breath. Then, hope. From across the plain, a familiar call, low and steady. The calf jerks upright, ears flick. It calls in return. Moments later, a lone female wildebeest appears, jogging toward the open plain, nose lifted high, scanning. She calls again. The calf's tail lifts. Recognition. They meet in a flurry of dust and limbs. The calf presses its head to her belly, frantically searching for her scent. She nuzzles him, checking, double-checking, confirming what instinct already knew. They are whole again. But not all stories end this way. Some calves will never find their mothers again. Some mothers, distressed or distracted, will move on without realizing what they've lost. And in the margins of the herd, loss is silent. No one mourns. The march continues. Because in the Serengeti, time does not slow for heartbreak. Yet for every loss, 100 calves endure. They stand taller, walk straighter, learn the sounds and sense of safety. Day by day, hour by hour, they grow stronger. And by surviving those first uncertain steps, they earn their place in the Great Migration. In the vastness of this land, the smallest voices must cry the loudest, and sometimes they are heard. Hunters and the hunted. In the Serengeti, where life pulses across the plains in endless waves, the dance between predator and prey is constant, ancient, and unforgiving. For every newborn that rises to its feet, a set of eyes watches from the grass. For every step forward the herd takes, a hunter stalks silently behind. This is a land where survival is earned, moment by moment. Lions sleep by day, but stir at dusk. Cheetahs scan the horizon with amber eyes, calculating every twitch of movement. Hyenas follow the herds like phantoms, equal parts scavenger and killer. But among the most elusive predators of all, the leopard reigns in stealth and solitude. She is a ghost of the underbrush, a master of stillness and silence. And on this morning, she lies low in the grass, her golden coat dappled with sunlight and shadow. She's positioned herself perfectly, using a small rise in the terrain as cover. Ahead of her, a group of gazelles grazes, unaware. Just beyond them, a cluster of wildebeest calves sticks close to their mothers, skittish and alert. The leopard waits, every muscle poised, breath slow, tail barely twitching. She has done this countless times, each failure teaching her something new, each success feeding more than just herself. Because today, she's not hunting only for her own survival. She has cubs. Suddenly, movement. She explodes from the grass with breathtaking speed. The gazelles scatter, mothers bellow, calves bolt in every direction. Dust erupts into the air. The leopard picks a target, a wildebeest calf, separated just long enough to be vulnerable, but the moment vanishes in a flash. The calf's mother charges, hooves pounding the earth. The leopard pulls back. She can't risk injury, not now, not with mouths to feed. She melts into the brush as quickly as she appeared, breath short, belly still empty. Today, the hunt fails. It is a harsh reminder of the reality predators face. Even for the most skilled, success is rare. A single kill in 10 attempts is considered a triumph. Every failure drains energy. Every misstep is another day without food. Not far away, tucked beneath the shade of a low bush, her cubs rest, tumbling over each other, oblivious to the drama that just played out. They paw at each other's tails, bite gently, roll onto their backs in play. They do not yet understand the stakes their mother faces each day, but they will. For now, they adapt, finding shade where they can, playing in the stillness between hunts. It's a quiet testament to the resourcefulness of life here and the delicate thread on which every creature's fate hangs. In the Serengeti, predators do not dominate. They struggle. They fight for every opportunity. They wait longer than they chase. They risk everything for every meal. And while we often imagine the hunt as brutal inevitability, in truth, it is a gamble. Most of the time, the hunted escapes. Most of the time, the hunter goes hungry. But the balance is what sustains this ecosystem. Without the hunter, the herd grows too large. Without the herd, the hunter starves. It is not cruelty. It is not mercy. It is simply life, raw, wild, and real. Small heroes of the Serengeti. In a land famed for its lions and elephants, it is easy to overlook the smallest lives that shape the destiny of the Serengeti. But beneath the towering grasses and between cracks in the sun-baked earth, tiny heroes are hard at work, day and night, sustaining the very fabric of this great ecosystem. Consider the dung beetle, an unsung champion of the plains. With unmatched determination, it locates fresh droppings left by wildebeests, zebras, and elephants. Then carves out a portion and begins the arduous task of rolling it into a perfect sphere. Sometimes the ball is 50 times the beetle's own weight, a feat akin to a human pushing a bus. But this isn't for nourishment, it's for legacy. The dung ball is carefully buried underground, where a single egg is laid inside. When the larva hatches, it finds a complete world of nourishment waiting, life from decay, a cycle as old as the land itself. And the beetle's work doesn't end there. In bearing dung, it recycles nutrients back into the soil, fertilizing the grasses that herbivores depend on. It reduces parasites. It controls waste. It prevents the buildup of harmful bacteria. In this way, a beetle no larger than a thumbnail becomes a key player in the Serengeti's endless circle of life. Then there are the termites, perhaps the most underrated engineers on Earth. Working collectively, they build towering mounds, sometimes over 10 feet high, rising like ancient monuments from the flatlands. Each mound is a fortress of clay, saliva, and sand, hiding a network of tunnels and chambers beneath. Inside, the colony hums with purpose. There are workers, soldiers, and a queen who lays tens of thousands of eggs. To keep life thriving underground, termites regulate temperature, humidity, and airflow, not with blueprints or leaders, but through instinct and cooperation. Yet the mound's impact stretches far beyond its walls. As years pass, these structures become keystones of biodiversity. Reptiles bask on their sun-warmed sides. Birds use them as lookout posts. Mongooses and monitor lizards hunt at their base. Even when abandoned, the mounds offer shelter for warthogs, aardvarks, and nesting hornbills. Over time, seeds take root in the rich, aerated soil, turning old termite cities into islands of green in the dry season. And beyond beetles and termites, countless other small creatures leave their quiet mark. Ants, marching in coordinated lines, patrol the savanna for prey and invaders. Some species partner with plants, defending them from grazers in exchange for nectar. Bees and butterflies, delicate yet vital, pollinate wildflowers and acacias, ensuring life returns with every new season. Spiders, hidden beneath leaves or suspended in fragile webs, keep insect populations in check, guardians of balance. And earthworms, burrowing unseen, aerate the soil and draw organic matter deep into the ground, laying the foundation for every root to thrive. These miniature organisms, often invisible to the passing eye, are the silent laborers of the Serengeti. Without them, the great herds would falter, the grasses would wither, and the predators would go hungry. They are the invisible thread that weaves the savanna together. So while the lions may roar and the elephants may thunder across the land, it is the small heroes who quietly keep the Serengeti alive. Giants of the savanna, elephants and giraffes. Among the grasslands and golden horizons of the Serengeti, few creatures command more awe than the giants who walk its plains. Elephants and giraffes, ancient architects of the land. With each deliberate step, elephants leave their mark, not just on the soil, but on the very shape of the savanna. Their massive frames push through dense thickets, and their trunks reach skyward to pull down branches, strip bark, and uproot small trees. In doing so, they open up the landscape, keeping woody vegetation in check and allowing sunlight to flood the ground once more. Grass takes root where shadows once lingered. In this way, elephants act as natural landscapers, maintaining the delicate balance between forest and open grassland, balance upon which many other species depend. But these gentle giants are more than tree pruners. They are water sculptors too. On a scorching afternoon, a small family of elephants approaches a dried-up riverbed under the unforgiving sun. With patience and memory passed down through generations, the matriarch chooses a spot and begins to dig. Her powerful tusks and trunk gouge into the dry earth until coal-hidden water rises to the surface. One by one, the elephants drink deeply. But they are not alone for long. Zebras arrive, then wildebeests. Birds flutter down, and warthogs shuffle in cautiously, all drink from the pool the elephants have revealed. In seeking their own survival, the elephants have created a lifeline, reminding us that in nature, acts of self-preservation often become acts of shared generosity. This is the interconnectedness of life on full display. Beside them, equally majestic, yet strikingly different, stand the giraffes, elegant towers on legs, the tallest land animals on Earth. With slow grace, they navigate the thorny branches of the acacia tree, plucking tender leaves with long, prehensile tongues that can reach over 18 inches. Their height grants them access to food untouched by other herbivores, and their selective browsing helps shape the upper canopy of the savanna's tree orchid. In doing so, giraffes indirectly support bird species and other tree dwellers that rely on open, airy crowns. Despite their scenes, giraffes are surprisingly vulnerable. Their long necks may grant them vision across vast distances, but watering holes remain treacherous. To drink, they must splay their legs and bow their heads, a position that makes them easy targets for predators. And yet, they persist, symbols of quiet endurance, adapted to survive in landscapes where drought and danger are never far. Together, elephants and giraffes represent two different expressions of grandeur. One, strong and commanding, the other, poised and watchful. Yet both are essential to the rhythm and resilience of the Serengeti. They are not just icons of the savanna, they are shapers of it. Without them, the very character of this wild place would begin to change. Trees would thicken, grass would vanish, and the great migrations might falter. In the shadow of their towering forms, the true scale of nature's balance is revealed. Giants they may be, but it is their presence, not their power, that defines the savanna. Mara River, the final challenge. By mid-July, the plains of the southern Serengeti lie far behind. The rains have moved on, and so too have the herds. Over 1 million wildebeests, along with zebras and gazelles, surge northward across the savanna, following ancient instincts that have guided them for millennia. Among them, calves born just months earlier now gallop with strength in their legs and fire in their hearts. They are ready for the final and most dangerous trial of the journey, the crossing of the Mara River. It is here, at the river's edge, where the pulse of the migration quickens, and where nature's raw peeper is laid bare. The Mara River cuts a winding path through the land, its murky waters concealing ancient predators. Nile crocodiles, some measuring over 18 feet in length, their armored bodies virtually unchanged since the time of the dinosaurs. For 11 months of the year, they lie in wait, silent, unmoving, conserving energy. But come migration season, their patience is rewarded. The river becomes a corridor of chaos. Their feast has arrived. As the first wildebeests approach the riverbanks, the air is thick with tension. They mill about, sniffing the water, watching the far shore. The crocodiles are invisible, but their presence is palpable, a silent threat lurking beneath the surface. Minutes stretch into hours. The herd waits. Then suddenly, a single wildebeest leaps, a moment of instinct, of bravery or desperation, and the flood begins. In an instant, thousands follow, pouring into the river in a frenzy of hooves and horns. The current is strong. Calves are swept away. Crocodiles strike with terrifying speed, their jaws snapping shut with the force of a sledgehammer. A few are pulled under, never to rise again. The water turns dark with churned up silt, and sometimes with blood. But most will make it. Against the odds, driven by instinct and unity, the herd pushes forward. Each crossing is a scene of survival and sacrifice, a brutal but necessary chapter in the wildebeest's epic journey. On the far bank, the survivors scramble up steep slopes, soaked and trembling, but alive. The dead nourish the river and its creatures. The living press on. This is nature's unflinching truth. Life cannot flourish without death. The crocodile feeds. The calf grows. The herd moves. Every crossing writes a new verse in an ancient story, one that has played out year after year for thousands of years. Here, in the roiling waters of the Mara, the Serengeti reveals its heart, the courage to endure, the cost of survival, and the rhythm of life that never stops turning. A cycle complete. At last, after months of movement, hunger, peril, and persistence, the Great Migration begins to settle. The rains have returned to the south. Tender green shoots rise from the soil once again, and the wildebeests follow the scent of renewal. What began as a desperate search for sustenance now comes full circle. The herds return to the very plains where their journey began, where calves were born and survival was first tested. But this is more than just a round trip across the Savannah. This is the heartbeat of the Serengeti, pulsing in time with the rain, the grass, and the hooves that churn the soil. By grazing endlessly and fertilizing the land with each step, wildebeests play a vital ecological role. Their presence rejuvenates the grasses, redistributes nutrients, and shapes the landscape. They feed the predators, scatter seeds, stir the insects, and leave behind trails that others follow. Their movement is not random. It is rhythmic, purposeful, essential. From the tallest lion to the smallest beetle, every creature in this vast ecosystem is touched in some way by the motion of the herds. Without the migration, the plains would dry, the balance would tip, and life as we know it here would falter. High above, the returning herds stretch toward the horizon, wave after wave of life in motion. It is a vision that speaks not just to survival, but to endurance, to something ancient and eternal. This is more than a journey. It is a testament to life's resilience, to adaptation passed down across generations, to instinct that outlasts drought, hunger, and death. And though this chapter ends, the story does not. Because even as one season fades, another begins. Rain will fall, grass will grow, calves will be born, and the wildebeests will rise again, drawn forward by the same invisible call, across the same endless horizon. In the Serengeti, there is no true end, only a rhythm, only a cycle, complete and beginning once more. The wildebeest migration is one of the last great spectacles of the natural world, a breathtaking testament to endurance, instinct, and the eternal rhythm of life. As long as the Serengeti endures, this ancient odyssey will carry on, echoing the profound beauty of nature's interconnected design. Join us in our next episode as we follow the migration across even more treacherous terrain, where danger lurks at every turn and every step is a fight for survival.